Good morning, class. How are you? I hope everyone is doing well as I am doing well too. And thank God we are all safe. Today we have a new lesson to discuss. But before anything else, I want that you get a piece of ballpen and a piece of paper because I want that you participate in the discussion by answering the questions in the activities to be given while you are watching and listening. Are you ready? Yeah! Okay, so let's start. What pictures can you see? Are they connected to one another? Yes, they are. Now, I want you to analyze these images and identify which of them conveys a general idea. To guide you, here is a graphic organizer where you are going to place the pictures. What is this graphic organizer called? Yes, it is a concept map. What is a concept map? Let's review its meaning. Last second quarter, you learned about this. It creates a visual image of a subject and depicts relationships among ideas. So try completing the concept map now. Don't forget that the main idea or the general idea should be placed at the center. Alright? So, let's have now the correct content of this concept map. So there, all of the pictures around convey ways to combat COVID-19. So I hope all of us are practicing these preventive measures to be safe from this pandemic. Did you do the same as this map? Yes! Very good. What two words are basically emphasized in those two examples? You are right, general and specific. Speaking of these two words, today, be a text detective, be analytic and investigative. I will guide you how to cite evidence to support a general statement. So that is our most essential learning competency today. You are expected to distinguish between general and specific statements. Find general statements and textual evidence, and cite textual evidence. To master today's learning competency, we shall focus on the following concepts: cite, evidence, general statement, and specific statement. Here is an example which will enable you to enhance your knowledge of the difference between a general statement or a general idea and a specific idea. Earlier, the preliminary activity used pictures. This time, phrases. So, the first one, unavailability of gadget, limited internet connection, and digital incompetence. Are you experiencing these challenges? Yes, your teachers know that many of you are experiencing these challenges in online learning. That's the reason why we are reaching out to you, we visit you, and we do mobile teaching. So in this particular example, what is the general idea? I mentioned it already. Okay, so it is these are the challenges in online learning. So you can see that this one in red is the general idea, and these three given here, unavailability of gadget, limited internet connection, and digital incompetence, are the specific ideas. So these are the challenges. Another example is this: fever, fatigue, body aches, dry cough, loss of appetite, and shortness of breath. Are these ideas specific or general? You're right. These are specific ideas. And what is the general idea here? Correct. Symptoms of COVID-19. So the words or phrases around the general idea give details to that main idea or general, which is symptoms of COVID-19. And if you experience even just one of them, tell your parents right away so they will be able to do something about it. Having analyzed those two examples, you already gained knowledge about the key concepts that are on focus in today's discussion. Cite means to mention. Citing evidence means mentioning specific details to support an idea, answer a question, or make a claim. Evidence refers to information that helps explain and prove one's idea. Evidence refers to the specific details, supporting sentences, and they support and clarify the general idea. General statement refers to the topic sentence, key sentence, main idea. And they note there's only one general idea in a paragraph. This idea may be at the beginning or at the end. And this idea is supported by evidence. So that means to say that in a paragraph, one sentence presents the general idea and the rest support it. Did you understand? Yeah! Alright, that's good. Now that you have already understood what general ideas and specific ideas are, I want you to develop mastery on citing evidence to support a general idea. Remember, these evidence are the specific or the supporting details. Try this one. Maggie was getting ready to walk to school. She put on her coat and grabbed her backpack. As she was leaving, her mother said, "I love you. Be careful." Okay, which general idea is supported by an evidence in the text? Is it A, Maggie is in kindergarten or first grade? B, Maggie lives close to school? C, Maggie is never late for school? Or D, Maggie is excited about going to school? So what is your answer? Correct? It's letter B. Maggie lives close to school. And now, for us to know whether the answer is correct or not, we have to cite the evidence that supports our answer. So, which of the sentences in the paragraph or in the passage given gives proof to letter B, which says Maggie lives close to school? All right. Maggie was getting ready to walk to school. So that's the evidence. And speaking of walk or walking, in your science or in your PE subject, it has been claimed that walking is the best exercise. Countless scientific studies have found that this simple act of moving our feet can provide a number of health benefits and help people live longer. Who wants to live longer? Of course, we all do. So starting tomorrow, we better do a walking exercise to live longer by God's grace. Okay. Here is another text to practice with. Fame is a bee. It has a song. It has a sting. Ah, too. It has a wing. What is Dickinson's attitude towards fame? Is it number one, she loves fame? Or number two, she dislikes fame? Okay,
So the answer to that one is she dislikes fame. And what is the evidence? So you have to cite the evidence that says she dislikes fame. All right. So it has a sting. That is the evidence in the poem, in the short poem. And what is a sting? A sting is a small sharp-pointed organ at the end of the abdomen of bees, and that inflicts a painful or dangerous wound, injecting poison. That's again in your science. I know you have learned that. Okay. So the use of the word sting shows pain and danger. So for the poet, she seemed like saying that the fame is dangerous. And of course, this is true to people whose selfishness dominates their motives. That's why Emily Dickinson doesn't like fame.
Here is now the final activity. Are you still there? Yeah! Good. Before we read the text, here are the guide questions. Number 1. What is the general statement in the text? Number 2. Which evidence proves the general statement? Number 3. Why is the 94 million decrease of child labor at risk? And number 4. What is the main cause of child labor? Okay, so let's read. According to COVID-19 and child labor, a time of crisis, a time to act, child labor decreased by 94 million since 2000, but that gain is now at risk. Children already in child labor may be working longer hours or under worsening conditions, the report says. More of them may be forced into the worst forms of labor, which causes significant harm to their health and safety. In times of crisis, child labor becomes a coping mechanism for many families, said UNICEF Executive Director Henrietta Fore. As poverty rises, schools close, and the availability of social services decreases, more children are pushed into the workforce. As we reimagine the world post-COVID, we need to make sure that children and their families have the tools they need to weather similar storms in the future. Quality education, social protection services, and better economic opportunities can be game changers. Okay, go back to the questions. Are these questions difficult? I suggest you do the race. Oh no, do not misinterpret it. Huwag magmadali, huwag magunahan. Because race means read closely, analyze well, cite evidence. Okay, so do the race while reading the text again. According to COVID-19 and child labor, a time of crisis, a time to act, child labor decreased by 94 million since 2000, but that gain is now at risk. Children already in child labor may be working longer hours or under worsening conditions, the report says. More of them may be forced into the worst forms of labor, which causes significant harm to their health and safety. In times of crisis, child labor becomes a coping mechanism for many families, said UNICEF Executive Director Henrietta Fore. As poverty rises, schools close, and the availability of social services decreases, more children are pushed into the workforce. As we reimagine the world post-COVID, we need to make sure that children and their families have the tools they need to weather similar storms in the future. Quality education, social protection services, and better economic opportunities can be game changers. I bet you're now ready to answer the questions. Or you have already answered them on your paper. Let's have the answers. Number 1, is the statement below general or specific? This statement, child labor decreased by 94 million since 2002, but that gain is now at risk. Okay, the answer is, of course, that is general. Number 2, which evidence does not prove the general statement in the text? Is it A, children are pushed into the workforce because of poverty? B, child labor becomes a coping mechanism for many families? C, social protection services and better economic opportunities become limited? Or D, children may be working longer hours, causing harm to their health and safety? What is your answer? The answer is letter C. Alright, number 3. What is the main cause of child labor? A, closing of schools. B, decreasing of social services. C, forcing children to work. Or D, increasing rate of poverty. What is your answer? It's letter D. Alright, to check for evidences, let's go back to the text. There. Child labor decreased by 94 million since 2000. That gain is now at risk. This is the general statement in the article. And what are the details that support that general statement? Okay, so this one, the second paragraph has the sentences here that support this general statement. Another evidence is this: child labor becomes a coping mechanism for many families. And another detail or evidence is, or specific idea is, as poverty rises, schools close, and the availability of social services decreases, more children are pushed into the workforce. And what about this line? Quality education, social protection services, and better economic opportunities can be game changers. Alright, this line does not support the general statement because it presents possible remedy for future problems caused by COVID-19 or other related problems that may arise in the future. It presents resolution to the problem on child labor and poverty. As you can see here, education is mentioned as one of the solutions. So, if you are into child labor, you're presently working, please do not neglect your studies. Finish your studies for a quality life in the future. Did you get a perfect score in that activity?
Yeah!
Wow, impressive! You know, learning to cite an evidence is a very useful skill not only when you listen, when you speak, when you read, and write.
Can one skill on finding and citing evidence be applied in daily living? Definitely yes. We are by nature observers and thereby learners, and that is our permanent state, according to Ralph Waldo Emerson. During this cyber age, fake news appear like mushrooms after continued rains through the social media. If we don't consider finding evidence, we get to believe easily in what we see, hear, or read. And of course, that affects our daily living. Therefore, let us be like a police detective. We must investigate and find evidence or proof to an idea. Don't just believe, investigate.
It's time now to review what we have just discussed. Cite means to mention. Evidence means specific ideas or specific details. Citing evidence means to mention these specific ideas or specific details to give support or proof to a general idea, a claim, or an answer to a question. And general idea refers to a topic sentence, key sentence, or a main idea. So, do you have questions? Did you understand them all? Yeah! That's good. And now I've got one question for you.
Why is citing evidence important? Okay. The ability to find and cite text evidence is a lifelong skill that will help students throughout school and in their career choice. When you say lifelong skill, it includes interpersonal skills, creativity, problem solving, critical thinking, leadership, reflection, adaptability, and much more. And this lesson actually helps you to be critical thinkers. So, citing evidence is really important. Okay. Now, for the evaluation, test 1 will be answered by regular students. Test 2 will be answered by working students. Since we are all discouraged to go out and mingle with other people, you may turn in your answers through the messenger. Take a picture of it and send me online. For those who cannot turn in online, just write your answers on a paper and wait for the mobile teachers to get them from you in your place. It is your safety that matters most. Alright, so here is the test 1. You may pause the video and read it silently. This is for the regular students. So you're going to cite evidence to prove the general statements given. Number 1, the Wright brothers are sharp-eyed. And number 2, the Wright brothers are ingenious. Okay. And let's have the next. Test 2. This is for the working students. You may also pause the video and read the text. Cite evidence to support this general statement. Isabela is now considered as one of the COVID-19 hotspots in the country. So it's a very sad thing, my dear learners. So please be safe. Just stay home. All right?
There you are, my dear grade 7 learners. We are now done with another learning venture. I hope that you really learned how to cite an evidence and really learned why citing evidence is a very important skill to learn in English. So always remember that to see is to believe, except in the instance we're in, we believe in God despite not seeing Him. And that is, of course, the so-called true faith in Him. So God bless everyone. I'll see you next time. Bye.